Hey guys, what's going on? This is Ryan. Today we're going to go over my PlayStation 1 collection. I've got a few games in my PlayStation 1 collection. I do have some that are my original childhood games. I think in total I probably only have maybe 50 or 60 PlayStation 1 games. I was kind of a late adopter for the PlayStation 1. It was probably 98, 99 whenever I got my first PlayStation 1. And one of the first games I remember from that was Final Fantasy VII, Silent Hill, Metal Gear Solid, a lot of games that I grew up with. I kind of stick with it, the franchises. Alright, without further ado, we can get to the video. Alright, we're going to start off with N2O, nitrous oxide. See from the back, it's kind of like a trippy racing game. We got Test Drive 5. Loved that game growing up. Need for Speed, High Stakes. Not my favorite Need for Speed on the PS1. Need for Speed 2, which was probably my favorite on the PS1. Actually, Need for Speed 3, I think. It's my favorite. But this is when it started to get good, in my opinion. The first one was kind of boring. Road Rash 3D. Basically a direct port of the 3DO version with some enhancements. Kart World Series, F1 racer. It's actually pretty decent for its time. Ready Racing. We got CTR, Crash Team Racing. Really fun kart racer. Wipeout 3. Another one of my favorite series back on the OG PlayStation was the Wipeout series. Soul Divide, which is a horizontal scrolling shooter. Really dig that game. They actually released it in Japan for the Saturn, and then you got ported over here as a budget title. Machine Head, early 3D. It's kind of fun, but the controls are a bit dated, too extreme. Played a lot of this as a kid, actually. Even though I don't really play sports games, but I thought it was pretty cool. This is Mobile Light Force. Now, you wouldn't be able to tell it by looking at the cover art and all that. This is actually a really good game, and it is Gunbird 1. It's a really great game. It's slightly butchered because they basically stripped it of all the anime, I guess, to make it appeal to a Western audience. So there's none of the anime cutscenes or the title card is basically just that. Yeah, it's kind of sucks, but the core gameplay is there. The Japanese version would be probably the best one to go with. But if you don't have a way to play it, you have the American PlayStation, that's the best way to do it, I guess. We got Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. I think everybody knows this game. A lot of hours in that whenever I was a kid to unlock all the unlockables. Here's one I picked up for, I think it was relatively cheap. think it was only $1 or so, but you know, I like the snowboarding games on the PS1. Twisted Metal 3. One of my favorite Twisted Metals on the PS1. And Tiny Tanks. This one's kind of beat up, but I paid a buck at a pawn shop for this. Same thing goes with this one. This one's beat up, extremely beat up. Fun game though. TNN Motorsports Hardcore 4x4. It's a lot more fun than it looks. I think this was actually a Japanese game that got ported over here, and they just kind of slapped that name on there. They had a tendency of doing that type of stuff. This is more like an arcade off-road racer. I believe it actually came out for the Dreamcast as well. Jam Pack. Those were cool. You could always buy the demo discs, or you get the PlayStation Underground magazine. Namco Museum 3 and Namco Museum 1. Tomb Raider Last Revelation. Not the best one. Tomb Raider 2 or 1 was probably my favorite. And then we got Final Fantasy Chronicles, which has Final Fantasy 4 and Chrono Trigger on it. But it's still sealed. I'll probably open it up. It's not really worth a whole lot. So I'll probably end up playing that. Got Medal of Honor, Underground. The OG Medal of Honor. That was fun. I like that game. One of my favorites, even though it's not really it's not a terribly advanced graphically, but it is a fun game. It's got a different premise. It's half fighter and half platformer. Platforming bits aren't so great because the controls are kind of meh. Fighting sequences are pretty good, I think. It's probably the best part of the game. But this is a childhood favorite of mine. Obviously, I love Spawn, so that's one of my must-haves, I guess, for me. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Probably one of the best Castlevanias, at least in my opinion. Legend of Mana. Really great RPG. Swagman. Tenchu Stealth Assassin. Really liked this game back in the day. And we have Iron Man, Exo Man, and Heavy Metal. It's a 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up. It's actually really fun. Its controls are a little bit stiff, but I got a lot of enjoyment out of that. Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain. It's where the whole Legacy of Kain series started. It's almost like a overhead dungeon crawler. Grand Theft Auto, the OG one, top down. I really liked that on the PC back in the day whenever I was a kid. GTA 2. A little bit of an advancement from the first one, not too much though. Crash Bandicoot Warped. And then Take to Recover. Whee! Get that 3D. Probably the last decent Crash Bandicoot game before, Activision bought them out. Soul Blade, which was basically the precursor to Soul Calibur. Metal Gear Solid VR missions. Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Battle 22. It's not a great game. The controls are a bit stiff, and the animations aren't quite smooth. Same thing goes with this one. A lot of slowdown in this. Controls aren't great. I mean, it was fun back in the day. Hexen. Classic PC game from id. First-person shooter, but with a kind of medieval feel to it. You got Tekken 3. Obviously needs a new case, bit cracked. But a great fighter on the PS1. Einhander, one of the best shooters on the PS1 in my opinion. It's kind of hard to come by. Well, I don't know about hard to come by, but pretty expensive to get these days. I got it for a really good price. Omega Boost, really cool 3D kind of space shooter. You're in a mech. Really detailed graphics. It's from the people that did Gran Turismo, Polyphony. And one of my favorite games on the PS1 right here is Ghost in the Shell. It's got anime cutscenes in it, and you basically drive around in the little robot, the Tachikomas, and all your battles take place that way. It's a really fun, hectic shooter. Silent Hill. Pretty sure everybody knows what Silent Hill is. This is actually my childhood copy of Silent Hill right here. Great game. It was like one of my favorite horror games of all time. And Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Again, this was my childhood version. Metal Gear Solid. One of my favorite PS1 games, if not my favorite. Got Spec Ops, Ranger Elite. This is a extremely budget game. And we got Lost World. Really liked this game as a kid. Strike Point. The Street Fighter Collection has Super Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter Alpha 2 Gold, and Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Really awesome set of games. Final Fantasy 7. I'm pretty sure this game doesn't need a introduction. One of my favorite RPGs on the PS1 at that time was Final Fantasy 7. Loved that game growing up. We have Lunar Silver Star Story Complete. Really awesome game. Basically, it's a port from the Sega CD version, but it's an enhanced port because you have up-res graphics and cutscenes. You have The Legend of Dragoon, really underrated RPG from Sony themselves. One of my favorites. And we have Grandia, really great RPG on PlayStation 1. Xenogears, another great RPG on PS1. This one kind of has like a mixed type. It's got two different ways of battling. You have a mech battling system, and then you have a battle system where you're fighting with your character. It's pretty cool. The game is great up to a point. The second disc is kind of not so great. And it's not horrible. It's just the fact that the game was kind of rushed on the second half. It kind of rushed through some of the story elements. But it doesn't make it any less a great game. And then we have Thousand Arms, which is a lesser known and less common RPG. It's really great though. And we have Star Ocean Second Story. The West's first exposure to the Star Ocean series. Really great RPG. And we got Fade to Black underneath. Not a great game by any means, but you know, it's worth putting a few minutes into. And we got Ridge Racer 4, or Ridge Racer Type 4. The great thing is about this, it came with a enhanced version of Ridge Racer 1. You got Gran Turismo 2. Not the best Gran Turismo. And we have Gran Turismo 1, which I loved. I played tons of Gran Turismo 1 just to unlock everything. Graphics obviously are a little bit dated. You can remedy that through an emulator, which I would recommend playing a lot of PlayStation 1 games with an emulator, at least the Polygon games. We have Parasite Eve. Really great game. This was actually probably the second RPG I played on the PlayStation. It's Parasite Eve. And we got Parasite Eve 2, which kind of mixed things up a little bit. It's more like an action RPG at that point. Fear Effect 2. Really awesome game. I love the cel-shaded graphics on these games. The story is immersive. Fear Effect 1. Same thing goes with this. It's a very immersive story. Awesome animation style. We got Chrono Cross. Awesome RPG. I think it's pretty underrated. I mean, there's a lot of people that love this, and then there's a lot of people that hate it. It's kind of a divisive game, I would say. Alright, well, I guess that about does it for today's video. If you like what you see, like and subscribe, and keep coming back for more. Alright, thanks. Take it easy.